Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1987 horror comedy classic, Evil Dead 2, starring Bruce Campbell and some other people that you may not know about. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week in the B Movie Club I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics. I'll go ahead and post it on our page on Facebook, the original B Movie Club. Give us the big thumbs up. You can also go to our page on YouTube. That's Kevin D. Hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. You can also reach me directly on Twitter at KD9575. Don't forget to spread the word, won't you? Evil Dead 2 is also called Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn. So it's got that going for it. In this movie, you got Ash. He's driving up into the country with his girlfriend. They stop at an old, seemingly abandoned cabin to spend the night. I don't know, do people do that? I think we'll just go for a drive. Maybe we'll stumble upon an old abandoned cabin. Oh, there are people who live here. Hey, they're not home now. We'll just borrow their cabin for a while. If they come back, we'll just say, oh, sorry. I don't know. So anyway, they spend the night in this cabin. While they're there, Ash discovers a recording. He plays it. Evidently, the people who used to live in this cabin were like archaeologists or anthropologists or something. They've been studying this book that they found in these ruins called the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. And evidently there are passages written in an ancient language which, if read out loud, will summon demons. So why would you read them out loud? That's an excellent question. Anyway, these archaeologists did in fact read these passages. One got possessed. It's very upsetting. And while Ash is playing this recording, his girlfriend gets possessed in the other room. So he goes out there. Now she's all demonic. And in the course of defending himself, he knocks her head off with a shovel. So he's broken up about it, as you might imagine. Rather than getting in his car and, I don't know, calling the cops, doing something. This is before cell phones, basically. There's no phone in the cabin. But nonetheless, he still could drive away. Instead, he decides to bury her. So he digs a grave and puts the body in it and puts a little makeshift cross in the ground. But here's the cold hard reality. When you're possessed, and now, getting hit with a shovel is not going to do it. That's not going to be enough to take care of you. So she comes out of the ground looking a lot more decomposed. I mean, she's only been buried for 5 minutes, but now she's got like skeleton arms, and it's craziness. It's craziness. So he's dealing with her. Her head is now rolling around and actually falls in his lap. Proceeds to bite his hand. He's trying to get the head off his hand. He's hitting it with books and hitting it in the wall. Finally, he's able to get it off by sticking it in a vise. I don't want to give up all the gory details. Meanwhile, while all this craziness is going on, we discover the daughter of the anthropologist. She's arriving by way of plane into town. She's got the last missing pages of the Book of the Dead. She's coming with her fiancé. Evidently, they're anthropologists as well. So they're going to go to the cabin to meet their folks, but we know that there's no one at the cabin now, so we don't know what's going on. So they're on their way. Now Ash's hand has become possessed, and it's trying to get at him. And it's very upsetting. Okay, he's got a crazy demon hand. He has to chop it off, get rid of it. Now there's a hand crawling around in the house. Meanwhile, the whole house becomes possessed. There's a force that actually possesses him at one point. Only thing that brings him out of it is that he sees like the necklace of his girlfriend, and that kind of snaps him out of his possession, I guess. Okay. So the other people arrive on the scene. He's shooting a shotgun because, you know, he's had a bad day. Let's just say that. Meanwhile, the bridge is out, so they actually had to hike in. The bridge is out now because the demons like kind of crunched it. But they were able to hike in. The daughter was able to hike in with the help of these crazy hillbillies that they meet along the way. So they don't know what's happened. All they know is they've arrived at their parents' cabin, and the parents aren't there, and there's like a bloody chainsaw nearby. So they automatically assume that Ash is a murderer, so they kick him and throw him in the cellar. They play the rest of the recording, and they realize that what had happened is when their parents were reciting the demon resurrection passages, the wife got possessed. She attacked the husband. The husband had to kill her and buried her in the fruit cellar, which is where Ash is locked in. I don't want to spoil it all. I don't want to give it all away. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so you can rush out and see it. Some things I can tell you about this movie. Okay, we all know about the original Evil Dead movie, which I actually did on the B-Movie Club not that long ago, so rush out and see that one. That was kind of a low-budget independent film. This was made several years later, where the director, Sam Raimi, had a little bit more critical and financial success. Bruce Campbell, the actor who plays Ash, still pretty much in the same spot, kind of doing wacky B movies such as Crime Wave and Maniac Cop. You know, those old classics. So they wanted to do the sequel, which had, by this point, the original had a huge cult following. Stephen King, the famous horror novelist, had actually helped them get their funding for the original movie, stepped in again, and convinced Dino De Laurentiis, the famous movie producer, to actually step in and help finance the sequel. Now, as they're filming this movie, they realize they may have to bring the new audience up to date on what happened in the first movie. For some reason, they did not have the rights to the first movie, so they couldn't show scenes from the first one. Because this one, although it starts out kind of the same way, where it's like Ash's character is driving up to a cabin in the woods. If you've seen the first movie, you're like, why is he going back to that same crazy cabin? That makes no sense. All of his friends were killed in the first movie. Why is he like, hey, let's just go back to that place to celebrate? No. Basically, the opening scene where he drives up with his girlfriend was meant to be kind of a remake of just that part. You know, in the first movie, they play the recording. They discover there's like demons in the woods, essentially. So they wanted to let the new audience aware of what's basically been going on up to this point. And then from the moment that his girlfriend is killed and the bridge is out, and now there's like a demonic force kind of chasing him in the woods. That's really where the second movie kind of begins. Now we kind of meet the people who used to live in the cabin, who, you know, why there are demons in the woods, who made the recording, and what the circumstances are. So that was the idea behind it all. The show didn't really have a huge cast. Bruce Campbell is by far the most famous. He obviously has a huge cult following. Up until recently, you could see him on Burn Notice as one of the second or third lead on that spy show on USA Network. So there's that. Nobody else in the cast really did much. You've got the guy who played Jake. You saw him in a few other Sam Raimi movies, such as like Darkman. Bobby Joe. She went on to do like soap opera work. She's currently in soap operas now. Funny thing, initially that role was supposed to go to Holly Hunter. Holly Hunter, as we all know, was big with the Coen brothers. She was in Raising Arizona, such as that. The Coen brothers and Sam Raimi, the director, writer of this movie, were actually buddies from way back. So that was their connection. The studio actually rejected Holly Hunter, so they had to find somebody else. The other main actors who were in this really didn't do much after this. They basically did this and that was it. But hey, sometimes, that's all you need to do, right? Let me take a moment to introduce some of our favorite contributors. My sister Erin will be joining us and sharing her experiences, her favorite scenes from Evil Dead. So let's go to Erin.
First of all, I think Evil Dead 2 is definitely not a remake of Evil Dead 1, even though you always hear that, oh, it's a remake. Now they got a budget. Now they've got Dino De Laurentiis producing it. It's a remake now. None of the movies are a remake of the other one. There's 3 Evil Dead. It's basically the first 2 take place in the same cabin. Have similar plot. There's vines that capture people in both of them, but really they're different stories. I didn't think I would like Evil Dead 2 because I love Evil Dead 1. And, of course, Army of Darkness just makes me laugh and laugh every time I see it. I love me some Bruce Campbell. Look, here's my Ash doll. Hi, Bruce Campbell, with his little chainsaw. That's the other thing in all 3 movies. Somehow his arm gets chopped off, regrows in the next movie, and he manages to fit a chainsaw to his hand. So his girlfriend becomes possessed. I don't even remember how. She gets buried. She comes back. Her head's lopped off. Anyway, at one point, her head lands in his lap and rolls over. The little white eyes roll over and look right at him and go, hello, lover, and literally clamps down on his thumb. Ah! Like that. Basically, he runs around the house. The head now looks like one of those Barbies you would get little girls where you would comb their hair and you could style it, except they just pop the head off. So now it's in his mouth where clearly he's using his hand to hold it onto his thumb. He's running around banging it on tables. Oh, dear God. So and finally they, of course, put it in a vise where then he has to chainsaw. And I actually read somewhere that the Freddy Krueger glove is hanging in that cabin. I have to go back and check that out again. Totally funny. So anyway, all right, we've cut our girlfriend's head in half with a chainsaw to stop it mocking you. And so he goes back to the cabin because, why not? And it starts to get a little funky. You start seeing the little veins. It was like... it's like some kind of, not Evil Dead, what am I saying? The Walking Dead, you're getting the contagion, right? The hand turns bad. So like every 70s horror film, it starts attacking you. I can't control my own hand. It's trying to kill me. Literally ends up running around the kitchen, banging his hand on things. He knocks himself out. And so now he's laying there, and the hand is still alive. The rest of it is unconscious, but the little hand's still alive. And somehow the hand sees that there is a hatchet. So not only does the hand see, but it also talks. So it's like... So it starts dragging him across the room, like what is that? Not Cousin It, the Thing. Dragging him across the room, but before the evil hand that is possessed can grab the hatchet, Bruce Campbell stabs it with a knife. At one point, you see one couple needs to get to the cabin, but mysteriously the ancient Sumerian demons have blown up the road, or the bridge is gone now. So they run to this funky-looking couple, clearly in their 30s, obviously trying to act like they're in high school. Not the case. But they're so mismatched. You're like, clearly the budget's bigger in this one, not quite as big, because I think everybody was responsible for their own wardrobe for this. So we see Bobby Joe, and I don't know what his name is. Goober? What the hell was that? It's the Sumerian gods attacking Skype. So anyway, she's dressed clearly as Tiffany or whatever 80s dream queen, and he's dressed like he's pumping gas, like from Deliverance pumping gas. He's got coverall, overalls, not even coveralls, and some kind of like greasy shirt with weird stains all over it. And they're a believable couple. My next favorite scene is the one with the eyeball pop. Oh my God. And I'm not giving anything away because if you look at the trailer, they show it in there. Literally, they're stomping on the demon's head, trying to close the floor opening to the root cellar, and the head sticking out. So as he stomps it, the eye pops out and lands in, is it Bobby Joe's mouth? Oh, classic. Because you can't have a Sam Raimi film without some weird crap falling into someone's mouth. Either it's black blood, it's worms, Drag Me to Hell, another classic Sam Raimi film. And of course, you got weird stuff falling into Amy Adams' mouth from The Old Gypsy. Oh, you want to laugh and kind of throw up a little bit. Ted Raimi, it's kind of like the Opie thing. Once Opie became a famous director, he always put his squirrely brother in every film. Well, it's the same with Sam Raimi. He always has his brother somewhere in there. And in this time, he plays the doctor's wife who's buried in the fruit cellar. So clearly, when you see the possessed version of the mother rising out of the ground, that is not a woman. There is no doubt in anyone's mind that that is a man.
Thank you, Aaron. And now we have another contributor, our old friend Crystal. She's going to share her thoughts and feelings about Evil Dead 2.
Favorite scenes. First thing that comes to mind, of course, it got into my hand. My hand went bad. Lop it off the hand, put it on the chainsaw. Greatest thing to ever happen in a movie ever. Second greatest scene is everything in the cabin laughing at him. When that deer head on the wall turns to him and starts like chuckling, oh, I lost it. That was the greatest thing ever. It's Sam Raimi's voice being mechanically altered to make the sound going through the forest. That they rode a motorcycle all the way through the cabin to give you that shot. And that if you're looking at the top of the screen, you can see that there is no ceiling to the cabin through that scene when they go through. Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi's little brother, is Henrietta, my favorite. I'll swallow your soul. Oh my God, young Ted Raimi. Of course, you know him, love him from Sequest DSV. Am I right? High five. Ted Raimi is actually, Sam Raimi's little brother. He's been in a lot of things, been in a lot of Sam Raimi movies, Spider-Man among them. Nobody else ever really went on to do anything. The guy that plays Bud, is that his name, Bud? He's actually, I don't know his name. Yeah, he's a minor character. He's actually a security guard now over, I think, at Warner Brothers or Universal Studios or something like that. So he's still in the industry. But yeah, no real other stars in that film other than Sam Raimi's voice, Ted Raimi's prosthetic fat ass, and Bruce the Man Campbell. And because Evil Dead 1, I mean, come on, man, low budget, 70s. It's pretty hysterical without meaning to be. Evil Dead 2 is hysterical and it means it. It's so tongue-in-cheek and the makeup is great. Bruce Campbell is amazing. The other actors, they don't bore you to death. It's really, really spectacular. Army of Darkness, totally fun. Not really an Evil Dead movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a fun medieval comedy, blah, blah, blah. Not really an Evil Dead movie to me, but I love it. Last thoughts. Bruce, come back to us. Come on, bring us Ash one more time. You got to kick the shit out of Freddy Krueger. This new Freddy Krueger running around town. Michael Myers. Come on, you can beat up Pumpkinhead. Who else can you beat the crap out of? Give me some more. Jabba the Hutt. That'd be fun. Come on. Just one more time. That's all I ask. Just bring Ash to life one last time.
And thank you. So, there you have it. That was Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. My personal feeling on this is there are scenes in this that are hilarious. As we know, Evil Dead 2 eventually spawned Army of Darkness that came out a few years later. and it directly picks up where this movie left off and has an even bigger budget. So if you haven't seen Army of Darkness, rush out and see that. Where the first movie was definitely focusing on more kind of horror and gore, Evil Dead 2 tried to be more slapsticky. It definitely has more of a kind of a Three Stooge vibe to it. And by the time they do Army of Darkness, it's a flat-out comedy. Evil Dead 2 is currently on Netflix, streaming instantly, so rush out and see it if you have not already done so, and spread the word. It currently has a 98% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. That's ridiculous. It's crazy. I enjoy it. Like I said, a lot of the scenes are kind of wacky and silly, but there's a lot of stuff in it that you're kind of like, okay, the scene's going a little bit too long. Okay, it's a little bit choppy in terms of the execution. Some scenes are just bizarre, ridiculous. I was talking to my buddy Tori about this. He's like, he said, man, I'd have been really pissed if I'd have spent $4.50 to see this movie in the theater. So there you go. It's definitely one of those movies that you remember the funny scenes, but you tend to forget those other scenes that maybe weren't that good, in my opinion. And that way, Army of Darkness is like that too. If you're a big Bruce Campbell fan, like I am, then I highly recommend this. It's fun. It's really not as gory. There's a lot of implied violence, a lot of things that happen off camera, like kind of blood spraying, but you don't see like any of the wounds or any of that stuff. That's not to say you want to have a big dinner and then sit down and watch this. But I think there's something here for most of your most audiences. Once you get past the whole Evil Dead thing, you know what I'm saying? It's enjoyable in my opinion. So it is streaming instantly, so you can rush out and check that out. Next week, I'm going to go back to the action genre. We're going to be doing the Guy Ritchie masterpiece, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. It is also streaming instantly on Netflix. So go see that and send me any of your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, any questions or comments you might have. Again, you can reach me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. You can also go to our page on YouTube. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and you can communicate with me directly via Twitter at KD9575. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. You're going down. So there you have it. Like I said, in this movie, you definitely get the first hints of kind of the schmarmy Bruce Campbell-ness that they really go whole hog for in Army of Darkness. So it has that going for it, which is nice. So thank you for joining us. Next week we're doing Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.